When it comes to the passionate fan base that horror continues to amass, the genre really does have some of the most knowledgeable, intelligent, and dedicated fans in the industry. And for those dedicated fans, so often they're happy to study and memorize every frame of every movie, all in the hope of getting some sort of payoff. Taking that into account then, I'm Just from What Culture, and here are horror movies that reward you for paying attention. Tori Spelling really did play Sydney in the movie of Scream. While Wes Craven's Scream is a movie that's fondly remembered for its terrifying scares, shocking kills, and the jaw-dropping reveal of the picture's two killers, there are also several tender moments dotted throughout the film. One particularly softer moment comes when Sidney Prescott stays the night at the Riley residence, with her best pal Tatum keen to keep an eye on Sid. As Tatum gets giddily excited at the idea that the horrors of Woodsboro could make for a great movie, a sincere and caring Dewey offers up a young Meg Ryan as being the perfect choice to play Sydney in such a film. In response, Neve Campbell's character thanks Dewey, but adds that, with her luck, they'd cast Tori Spelling in that role. This was all a brief exchange in the grand scheme of that 1996 picture, yet those who remembered that shared moment in time were rewarded when Scream 2 rolled around. There, with the events of Scream brought to life in Stab, it is indeed Tori Spelling who's playing Sydney. Spelling would also have a significant part to play in Scary Movie 2, with Scary Movie having at one point been the intended title for Scream. Malcolm's shirt is a giveaway of the Sixth Sense's twist. For those of us who were around at the time of the Sixth Sense's initial release back in 1999, it's hard to explain just how buzzworthy this picture was back then. The feature debut from filmmaker M. Night Shyamalan, not only was The Sixth Sense revered for that mind-blowing twist, it was also lauded for its delicate storytelling, its genuinely terrifying scares, some stunning central performances, and it was a movie that well and truly put Shyamalan on the map as one of the hottest rising names in the industry. Where that twist is concerned, though, the most meticulous of viewers will have had a massive sense of reward by the time that swerve is revealed, and their suspicions are entirely justified. You see, there's one major giveaway to the ultimate fate of Bruce Willis's Malcolm Crowe that's staring us all in the face throughout the entire movie. No, not the fact that he talks to Cole, who can obviously see dead people, but it's the fact that Malcolm wears the exact same shirt from the moment he was shot in the opening act, right through until the closing moments of the film. This is something that only an extremely small percentage of viewers picked up on, even on subsequent rewatches of The Sixth Sense, yet it's hugely rewarding for those who paid attention to this minor detail. The opening of The Thing told us what was to come. If you pay attention to the opening few minutes of John Carpenter's The Thing, you'll know all you need to know about the shape-shifting alien parasite that's at the center of the film and about to cause all kinds of paranoid havoc. Admittedly, the slight caveat here is that you'd need to be able to understand Norwegian to be gifted this pivotal information. But still, Carpenter wasn't shy about revealing the truth about the torment that was lying ahead in this picture. Setting the tone for Carpenter's iconic Antarctica set 1982 offering, the film opens with a Norwegian helicopter in desperate pursuit of a sled dog that's heading to the US research station that serves as the central location of the movie. That helicopter ends up exploding, but its pilot screams at the US crew while attempting to shoot this problematic pooch. That poor pilot would end up being shot and killed for his troubles, but those who can speak Norwegian were all too aware that he was merely trying to warn his American peers. To be precise, the Norwegian pilot pleads, "Get the hell out of there! That's not a dog, it's some sort of thing. It's imitating a dog. It isn't real. Get away, you idiots." Another moment to pay attention to upon your next watch of The Thing is the closing conversation between MacReady and Childs. For those looking for the answer to the age-old question of whether it was MacReady or Childs who was the thing at that point in time, the answer is there for all to see, as MacReady is the only one exhaling breath when he speaks. Get Out cues up Georgina as a piece of the family. If you pay attention, there are numerous warning signs as to the sinister secrets at the core of Jordan Peele's phenomenal Get Out. That secret would be that the community inhabited by Chris Washington's girlfriend Rose and her parents is actually a body-snatching scheme where young black people are hypnotized in order for their bodies to be replaced with old white folks. Featured in the film's opening credits and several other times dotted throughout the picture, there's a constant warning to Chris in the form of Michael Abel's musical score. Titled Sikiliza Kwa Wahenga, the English translation of this Swahili song is imploring Chris to, quote, listen to the ancestors, to run, and to run far. Given what would eventually play out in Get Out, this is absolutely the perfect advice for a character who's at risk of losing his very body. For those not fluent in Swahili though, one other major red flag for Chris is during his arrival at the Armitage household. While giving a tour of the house, family patriarch Dean explains how the kitchen was always his mother's favorite part of the house, detailing how they keep a piece of her in there. Right on cue, housekeeper Georgina enters the shot, with it later revealed that she is the piece in question. The Dean's mother's brain is in the vessel of Georgina. Saw shows John Kramer's twisted plans earlier than we thought. James Wan and Lee Whannell's Saw is one of the most impressive and unique horrors of the past 20 years. Sure, the overarching formula of the property may have diminished in the years since that first Saw hit the silver screen in 2004, but that first film and its two follow-ups worked so well in bringing something utterly fresh to horror. We all know that the person playing puppet master over so much of what plays out across the Saw franchise is Tobin Bell's John Kramer, aka the Jigsaw Killer. What only the most perceptive of viewers will have picked up on, though, is that the more sinister side of Kramer was on display way before Saw pulled the curtain back on its first major twist. In the early stages of that 2004 effort, Cary Elwes's Dr. Gordon finds himself with a cancer patient called John Kramer. Now, neither he nor us would have any indication here that the terminally ill Kramer is actually a twisted mastermind, obsessed with pushing others to their absolute limits in order to see just how precious life is. The thing is, when Gordon later checks in on Kramer, those paying real attention will see all they need to see about John. Here on Kramer's bedside table, there's a drawing pad with a sketch of the torturous reverse bear trap that would be used on drug addict Amanda elsewhere in the movie. A crawler keeps an early eye on things in The Descent. Having impressed with Dog Soldiers 3 years prior, 2005's The Descent marked Neil Marshall out as a special talent in the horror genre. With claustrophobic terror dripping from every scene, Marshall's cave-based feature is a tense affair that's guaranteed to leave you squirming in your seat. The location itself is enough to make most people queasy, but this unsettling locale is made infinitely more uncomfortable once the film's core cast discovers that the cave is the home to some vicious, bloodthirsty, and ultimately territorial crawlers. Once the setting is showcased and the relationships of our main characters become strained as they become trapped in the cave, it takes a little while before you see the first glimpse of the true inhabitants of this cave system. Well, that'd be the case for most people. For those paying attention to The Descent, there's actually a rewarding first look at the crawlers way before they're actually introduced into the main story. When the movie's main group is first getting adjusted to their cave setting, shining flashlights around to get their bearings, there's an extremely brief glance at a crawler perched behind one of the rocks. By the time the flashlight returns to that same spot, the crawler's gone. But those paying attention would have got an idea of what to expect from The Descent way earlier than the rest of the audience.